Hi, this is Tracy Hales Vass with Right on Four Corners on KSJE 90.9 FM in Farmington, New Mexico. Today I'm going to be talking to Jeffe Kennedy, author of The Orchid Throne and many other fantasy, romance, and cross-genre works. Hi Jeffe, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm talking to you while you're at Comi Con.
San Diego Comic Con, yes.
Oh, exciting. And you're there, and you will be doing a panel, right?
Yes, I am doing a panel for Science Fiction Fantasy Writers of America, where we're talking about the one big secret that got us published.
Oh.
We went with the clickbait title so we could compete with the pretty actors.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm also doing a signing on some galley giveaways of my book, The Orchid Throne.
Great. Yes, The Orchid Throne. I really enjoyed that. Now,
I'm so glad.
The Orchid Throne is the start of a new series, but you have a bunch of other series, right? Already finished?
Yes, that's true.
I was trying to figure out how many books you have.
It's something like 30 at this point.
Good.
If you count novellas and novels, yeah.
Okay, that's admirable. So have you been writing? Forever?
I have been writing seriously for about 25 years now.
Oh, very good.
I started out as a nonfiction writer, writing essays and that sort of thing. And then I transitioned into fiction, and I've been writing fiction since, about 2009.
And you have so many different genres and crossovers that you're dabbling in everything.
Yes, which is like one of those pieces of advice that they give you is that you should establish yourself in one genre before you branch out, but I absolutely did not follow.
Well, and it worked for you, so that's good.
It did. I'm tend to be an eclectic person or a fence sitter, depending on how you put it. And so, I'm not good at sticking to just one thing.
Well, it works for us, I tell you that.
That's great.
So why don't you give our audience just a brief synopsis of it?
So it takes place in an empire with a tyrannical emperor who has basically shattered all of the kingdoms and removed the royalty. And the heroine is a queen who is one of the few who still has her realm. And she is sort of a Queen Elizabeth I character. She maintains her status ruling alone as a sort of virgin queen of this island paradise. And she'll go to any length to preserve her kingdom. And then the hero is a man who was born a prince, but his kingdom is gone now. And he was enslaved as a boy and worked in the volcanic mines and then rebelled. And now he's leading a rebellion against the emperor. And on the way, as part of his conquest to get to the emperor and destroy him, he ends up on this Queen's Island.
Now, you've written this in alternating points of view. First with the Queen and then with Conry. So,
Conry, yeah.
Yes. Did you write one character first and then write the other, or did you write it alternately?
So that's actually a great question. I did write it from the Queen's first-person point of view first, and then my agent said that she would like me to have the hero's point of view in there too, which we really needed because it takes a while before they actually meet each other.
Right.
And so she said it'd be great. So I originally wrote his point of view in third person.
Oh.
And we sold the books that way to St. Martin. And my editor at St. Martin's, Jenny Conway, one of the first things she asked me for. And it was funny because I'd only written like the first 100 pages when she bought it.
Great.
And then she went and, bought it, and I had to finish writing the book. And I said, well, before I finished writing this, I said, do you have any things that you know right now that you would like me to change before I get too far? She said, well, actually, what I would love for you to do is to change Conray's point of view to first person also. She said, because I feel like we're so much closer to Leah than we are to Con.
Right.
And so that actually took a lot. You know, some writers say things like, oh, all you have to do is swap out the pronouns. And it's so not true. Changing a point of view like that is a massive, massive change. So I ended up rewriting everything I've written so far.
Oh my gosh. Well, it really works because they're very different voices in the points of view, but we do get to know each character well.
Yeah, and I was glad that I did it that way because I ended up understanding a lot more of Conray than I had when I wrote it so far.
Right.
So it's amazing what a POV shift like that will do.
That's right. And you've left the book open for several more things to happen. It's like, okay, cliffhangers.
Well, this was a fun trilogy for me, and one of the reasons why I really liked Jenny and St. Martin's offer was that they said that I could do the same hero and heroine for all three books.
Great.
And sometimes in romance, they want you to do like a new love story, a new hero or heroine for each book, even if it's a very strong fantasy story. But with them, I knew that it was going to take a long time before they could go from, because they start out basically trying to kill each other. So
right.
It's going to take a while to work it around.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So the second two books will continue their adventure.
Are those in the works now?
Yes, I've actually written the second book.
Great.
It's completed, and with my editor, I did some content revisions on it. So I'm waiting to hear back from her on that, and then I don't have to turn in the third book till next year.
That's not that long for that big of a book.
That's true. Although it feels like a long time when sometimes you're trying to finish a book that's due like next month or the month after.
Exactly.
More than a year from now, it's like, all kinds of time.
Right. I'm interested in going back to the Comi Con theme, I guess, is retelling the fairy tale.
Yeah.
Which you think is kind of interesting because that's what you've done in so many cases.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by fairy tales and fascinated by the archetypes that fairy tales embody.
Right. Where would you put the Orchid Throne in the fairy tale genre?
It's a bit of a departure that way.
Uh-huh.
Some of what I was thinking about when I was writing this book was I was on a panel at a convention where we talked about why are fantasy tales always set in medieval type worlds? Why are they always very low tech? Basically swords and bows and arrows.
True.
And it was a fascinating panel. It's the best ones are where we were all debating. It's like, well, why is that the default that we always go to?
Right.
And so when I was writing this book, I thought, okay, I don't want to do that. I want to make this a civilization that's almost more like a Renaissance civilization. My friend, who's also a fantasy author, Grace Raven, said that the quote reminded her of the Medici. And that was what I was going for.
Great.
So I wanted them to have sort of like this recent discovery of this explosive stuff that could be applied both for warfare and will eventually be applied for more productive use too.
Right.
So as far as fairy tale wise, I kind of branched out from it. I went with the marriage of state.
Right.
The marriage of convenience and rebelling against the emperor, being the daughters of the children of the rulers, and sort of having to go on this quest, but putting it a more modern spin on it.
And it works really well.
That's great. I'm so happy to hear that.
So do you want to read a little bit for us from the Orchid Throne?
Sure. So this is a part that is a little ways into the story when Conry first arrives on the island of Calamity. And this is from his point of view.
Great.
It looked like something out of the old tales or a fanciful painting. Made from the same white stone as the cliff, it seemed carved from the rock, or grown like a plant rather than built. With fluid, rounded lines, one level flowed into the next, archways opening into rooms huge enough to see sky beyond through yet more arches. Balconies spilled onto each other, connected by spiraling staircases, all dripping with the waterfalls of blossoms. Birds in every shade of the rainbow flew in glistening clouds, shifting direction, then settling again in orchards, sending up choruses of song. Our dancing escort sang along, harmonizing with the birds. Feeling stunned, I walked on, unable to dredge up the least desire to turn back. As we approached the wide promenade that led up to the palace entrance, I noticed the absence of other people. No guards, no walls or portcullis, no apparent doors even, but also no courtiers, lingering on the lovely lawns made of tiny violet flowers or enjoying the many pavilions and lounging chairs overlooking the crystal clear sea. No merchants bringing in goods or gardeners working on the obviously carefully tended gardens. "They're waiting for us," Sandra murmured, confirming my take, and that she wasn't completely enraptured. "They're taking no chances." Perversely, it made me feel better. This flower queen might have enjoyed a lavish and carefree existence by licking Anur's hand and getting in her belly while others fought and died. But she wasn't without caution. Perhaps she, at least, had the wisdom to fear the threat we posed. It helped shore up my belief that we still posed one. The vaulted entrance hall was equally quiet, leading to various empty salons, all with enormous open arches so that the sea and gardens seemed to come inside. "I wonder what they do when it rains," Sandra muttered. "Silly, it doesn't rain in paradise," I returned, and she flashed me a grin, some relief in it. At last we reached a pair of great doors made of carved wood that were actually closed. That, too, felt more normal. The Calampians wouldn't be human if they didn't want to close others out once in a while. Our escort evaporated, and we stood there a moment before the great doors. I tried not to feel like more of an idiot than I already did. "Do we knock?" Sandra whispered. My rock hammer would take care of these doors. Kara and Sandra had talked me into leaving it and my Tagaroka on the ship, and had me carrying a sword instead, calling it more kingly and less a declaration of brute force. I preferred the heavy hammer, though. I'd grown used to wielding it in the mines. The grip hit my hand, and the wielded pick on the reverse spiked what could not be shattered. Swords had to be treated with more care. A stout kick, however, would bring those doors down and be most satisfying. Ambrose stopped me. "I can do this." He tapped his staff against the doors, face alight with curious interest. It made no sound, but the doors swung open, smoothly and without the hitch of normal hinges. I had no time to examine the things before a grand throne room greeted us, along with a sea of faces to either side of a long aisle. It took a moment to assimilate it, the elaborate costumes, the heavy scent of tropical blossoms and sweet wine, the hush of courtiers underlaid with a whisper here and there, the taut stretch of power humming in the air. It struck me forcibly. Memories of my father's court at Oriel rushed through me, how it had felt just the same, full of the potency of a living realm. It made me want to weep for all we'd lost. It made me want to rage and tear the place stone from stone. At the end of the aisle, a set of broad white steps led up to an altar of a throne. 6 ladies sat on chairs at various levels leading up, each in a gown of a different shade, all glittering with jewels or streaming with flowers. At the apex, the queen of flowers reigned over them all, a lovely traitor, concubine to the tyrant. I strode forward, neither hurrying nor dawdling, staring her down as the equal I should have been. No, her superior, as I never would have so merrily bent a knee to the false emperor. Sandra and Ambrose followed behind, a half step after, guarding my back and flanks. But the queen didn't glance at them. She returned my stare with a hard and crystalline gaze. She should have been a wax sculpture of a woman, but for the living gleam of her pale eyes. Her gown of rich material spilled like fresh blood over elaborate underskirts that must have been held out with bone, wood, or wire, the way they stood in artistic form. A high collar of worked silver rose to frame her face, with hair of the same scarlet serving as a cushion to a crown that rivaled the stars for its glitter. Amid all that, her face should have looked tiny. In fact, she might be petite under all that scaffolding. But she was far from small, her personal intensity overriding her elaborate costume. She coated her face with some kind of pure white makeup that contributed to the image of her as carved from marble. Crystals glittered on extravagantly long lashes, surely fake, that weighed her lids so that she should have looked sleepy. But those eyes, I walked right up to the bottom of the steps and studying them, found them to be gray, with a faint shading of blue, the color of rain on a misty morning in Oreo. And those eyes were about as sleepy as a stalking mountain cat.
That's great. I really like the way that Calentha is described through Conry's point of view.
Yeah, it's nice to see it through his eyes.
And he's got his sidekicks, his companions, I should say, Sandra and Ambrose, are very interesting characters also.
Yeah, thanks. I like having rich secondary characters.
Yes, definitely. And Ambrose has his Merle with him, who's also a character.
Yes, his familiar, the Raven, yeah.
Yes, I really like that. And I think it's interesting that he has these very close companions, and our queen's companions are one step removed except for her one best friend.
Yeah, this is her Tula, her first lady in waiting.
Right.
Who's been her friend since childhood, yeah.
Yeah. Who is an interesting character.
Yeah, Leah is yes, she is. And, and part of that is because Leah's been very isolated in order to survive.
Right. Good point. Yeah, it's a very rich and real setting, and the costumes, you describe them so elaborately. It's very visual.
Yes. I even have a Pinterest board where I have a lot of those outfits. So when I need to have a new outfit for Leah to wear, I go and pick out something. It's amazing the stuff that people come up with, and then I describe them for her.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's a great shortcut.
I like it. And you also have a really active website at jeffekennedy.com.
Yes.
That's Jeffe.
And in fact, and my self-published books, I actually have a website store. You can buy them right on the website.
Great.
You don't like going to Amazon and the others.
And so tell us a little bit about your other series.
Well, one of my self-published series is The Sorcerer's Moon. Mm-hmm. There's 6 of those, and that's another enemies to lovers kind of story about a barbarian king and a sorceress queen. Mm-hmm. And she has a familiar that's a little white fire lizard sort of character.
Oh.
So, and that was complete.
Great.
And then my other big series is The 12 Kingdoms and the Uncharted Realms. Mm-hmm. And those I did with Kensington Press and then continued on my own. And there are 7 novels in that series and then some other spin-off novellas.
Oh, wow.
So that one's been going for some time.
Yes. And for which did you win the prize, the Rita Award?
The Rita Award I won for the 4th book in that series. So it's either the 1st in the Uncharted Realms or the 4th in the Ark overall, depending on how you slice it. And that's called The Pages of the Mind.
Oh, well, that's
my librarian heroine.
That's a great
A
honor.
librarian who sort of, ends up in the role of being a spy,
I love
and
it.
that's a fun story.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was intrigued. Great artwork and visuals on the website. Very interesting there. I was really impressed.
No, thank
There's
you.
so much. Yeah, but besides
Yeah,
all
my
the
website designer is amazing.
yes, very much so. But besides your writing and your speaking, you lead workshops sometimes.
Yes, I enjoy doing mentoring and teaching, so I teach online workshops, or sometimes I travel to give workshops.
That's great because from what I gather, you talk a lot about crossing genres.
Yes, that's a workshop that I just did recently, and really it's my most popular workshop. I call it Defying Gravity, Writing Cross-Genre and Succeeding Anyway.
Right.
And that's from the song in Wicked, where Elphaba decides to defy gravity because she's tired of accepting limits just because other people say they're so.
I love it. Yeah.
Part of my thing was writing in multiple genres and writing cross-genre was it made it very hard for me early on because people said they didn't know how to market my work.
Exactly.
But I had to persevere because that was what I wanted to write.
Yeah.
Well, now it is, yeah. It's nice to have people discovering fantasy romance and appreciating the genre.
Right.
I think it's really the sweet spot,
Right. What it all comes down to is the characters, I think. And if the reader
so
likes
much about the characters.
right, if the reader can relate to the character, I think you've got them. And that's what I found in the book. I really enjoyed the characters. I felt like I knew them, many of them.
Oh, that's great. That's the best compliment you can give.
Oh, well,
especially because I'm a character-driven writer. So,
you are right.
Getting close to the characters is what it's about for me.
Right, I can see that, and that I think that's more important than the genre.
Yeah. Genre is really a marketing thing. It's, people want to know where they're going to put it on the bookshelf.
Exactly. So what is online at the Comi Con?
Let's see, at Comi Con, well, I'm here with my friend who is also a writer of fantasy romance, Grace Raven. She came as my guest to Comi Con, my arm candy, is what she keeps saying. So she's got a signing and a little bit at the Penguin Random House booth for her book, Phoenix Unbound.
Great.
And then we are going to parties tonight. We're going out to dinner with a couple of our readers and then going to the Penguin Random House party.
Ooh.
So we love that. We love it when the publishers give us free food and drink.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the great perks.
Yes.
Tomorrow I think we're going to go out and hit Mission Beach just to see the beach.
Oh, very
we're
nice.
both landlocked girls.
Yes.
Yeah. And tomorrow night is the Sepha panel. And then we're having a little party after that at the Marriott Marquis Pool Bar for our fans.
Great.
Who are not at the con but wanted to see us. And then Saturday morning we'll be at the tour booth giving away and signing copies of the Orchid.
Well, quite an active schedule. You're going to need time to recover after that. But you're booked up for other appearances from there on, aren't you?
That's true. On Monday morning I fly to New York City for the Romance Writers of America conference. That's another side result of writing cross-genre is you end up going to multiple professional conventions.
True. And you're with the Albuquerque Lyra group, right?
Yeah. It's actually the New Mexico Lyra group.
Oh,
it's
is it?
the land of enchantment romance authors.
Okay.
Everybody in New Mexico, we have people who drive 4 hours to come to those meetings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and because I'm in Santa Fe, I'm about an hour away from that.
So do they meet regularly?
That's a fantastic group.
I've heard that from other writers. And writers who aren't
Yes.
particularly romance writers are part of that.
Yes, absolutely, because it is a local chapter of the National Romance Writers of America organization, but the group is all local people, and basically, when it comes down to it, we're all writers and storytellers. So,
Right.
Whether or not you write exclusively romance or only romantic elements, doesn't really matter to us because we're all sharing craft and
Right.
mentoring and support. I mean, the support just being able to talk to other writers when it tends to be kind of a solitary.
Exactly.
That's,
Is it also a critique group?
no, there are people who form critique groups from friends within the organization.
Okay.
That we, that's sort of an aside thing, really.
Oh, okay.
Some of us critique for each other.
Have you had critique done? Do you think that's an important aspect of writing?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a member of various critique groups throughout the years. Right now, I mostly work with different critique partners here and there, depending on what I need. I give my books to different people.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know what people are going to be able to give me so far as feedback. I'm much more likely to, at this point, to call up one of my friends and work through a plot problem with them, or chat them up and say, okay, I'm trying to figure out this thing and I don't know which way to go.
I need to get her from here to there without this.
Yes, or I'm thinking in order to do this thing I have to destroy something, and do I really want to do that? What are going to be the repercussions?
Yeah, I think it's important to bounce things off other writers. Like you said, even just for encouragement. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Apologize for all the background noise. It really is like a big circus here.
It sounds fun. Very fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
And everybody's in costume, too. Incredible costume.
Are you wearing a costume?
I'm not. I'm just in my... we came here straight from the airport so that we could be here in time to do a few things. But even so, I don't often do cosplay. But it sure is fun to see what other people do.
I can only imagine. Wish I was there. All
right.
right.
You'll have to come sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Jeffe, I really appreciate the time you took from this to talk to me.
Absolutely. I'm very happy to get to do this. It was fun.
It was fun. And that was Jeffe Kennedy talking to us from the Comi Con in San Diego about her new book, The Orchid Throne, just recently released, and the start of a whole new series. This is Tracy Hales Vass with Right on Four Corners on KSJE 90.9 FM in Farmington, New Mexico.